has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
And we are back, Ferrall, coast to coast, hour number 2, right here on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Carver High in for Scotty. We're going to bring Joe in officially here in a moment. Great to have everybody with us. Big hour ahead. We got a lot of NBA to do. We'll have Davis with the Lions share. And we're going to start the hour with some news in the NFL. But first, every Tuesday and Wednesday, you do get the extended version of the very popular SportsGrid radio show, Carver and Lisi, which airs weeknights at 8 p.m. East, and that is with myself and the encyclopedia of college football, the one, the only, even knows everybody that's friends with Dominic Raiola, and that is Go for the Two, Joe Lisi. Hi, Joe. How you doing?
Hi, Carver. Dominic Raiola, Big Red, baby, back in the day.
I knew you'd
with
get,
a little
you'd get
Willie
excited
Miller
about that.
and Dan Alexander. How about that?
Did you like what he said, too? He's like, Nebraska deserves respect. That program deserves respect. We're going to get it back. He wants
blue collar,
and now his son,
blue collar.
Obviously, his son's going. And if there's anybody that can put the respect back on Nebraska, Joe, we like Matt Rule already. But when you get his son Dylan in there, I think that's going to also speed the process along for Nebraska football. Because if you were going to go to Georgia, we know Georgia gets everybody that's great. So if you're that level of talent to then go to Lincoln, that's going to change things for Matt Rule in a pretty quick way, Joe. You know that.
And think about the last Georgia quarterback that transferred out was Justin Fields. Had a pretty good college career as well, played in a national championship game. And I think Nebraska fans would sign up tomorrow to have Nebraska fight for a national championship. I mean, it's been years, Carver, since, the days of Frank Solich and, more importantly, Dr. Tom Osborne. I mean, come on. Let's go.
Let's start with a bowl. How about starting by getting back to a bowl game?
Three times knocking on the door last
year. Unbelievable. We welcome in all of our radio affiliates for Coast to Coast on a Wednesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty, SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 159, Sports Byline. Great to have you with us. All right, Joe, NFL coaching news. We've seen a lot of defensive coordinators got chopped. I have later in the show, the Packers chopped their defensive coordinator. He's finished, Joe Barry, so chopped. And then a very surprising one that just came down in the last 20 minutes or so, Joe, and that is that the Dolphins and Vic Fangio going separate ways. Only 1 year in Miami for Vic, and then it took like 3 minutes, and already the reports were, he's going to Philadelphia to be the DC with the Eagles. So how about that to Sirianni? So now, look, Joe, who knows how it went this year? Maybe he didn't like working for the nerd. Who knows the deal? Maybe he thinks he's got a better chance to win. He's got better talent on D, whatever the deal is. But Fangio out the door in Miami, and it sounds like, not official yet, sounds like on his way to Philadelphia.
Bring all the Italians to Philly, huh? Who do we need? Yes, I love it. Here's the thing. The nerd is getting nervous, too. He's gutless. Why didn't he just call him out, Fangio, and say McDaniel's gutless? That locker room talk, absolutely gutless. And maybe he thinks that they can't win. I mean, maybe McDaniel's starting to face and feel the heat. 2 years and one and done with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and all these weapons, and we can't stop anybody.
Can't stop anybody. Vic Fangio, that was a surprise, Joe. Definitely taken aback by that in the last few minutes, that's for sure. We'll do more NFL later on. I'm going to start this hour, though, Joe, officially with some NBA. We have a big slate tonight. We have a few games that we had to talk about from last night, too. The Bucks did make it official a couple of hours ago, or maybe they didn't specifically, but all the insiders made it official, that Doc Rivers is going to be the next head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. Of course, yesterday they chopped Adrian Griffin, first year, 30-13. Out he goes. We talked about it with Coach earlier. I saw you tweet something out earlier, Joe, and since we have this forum, I might as well give you a chance to elaborate on what you said, but it certainly made it sound like you said, who cares who the coach is? It doesn't matter. It's the NBA. Basically taking a dig at the association. It's not as important as an NFL coach. It's not as important as this, that. So go ahead, Joe. What are you trying to say? You saying coaching doesn't matter in the NBA?
What? Well, let's call it what it is, Carver. In the NFL, Shanahan, McVay, they're great game planners, and there's different schemes in the NFL that you don't have in terms of the NBA. I mean, the Wildcat, 5 wide, you have motion. You could throw a different defensive scheme in regards to, a 3-4, 4-3, 5-2. What do you do in the NBA? The amoeba defense, you press man-to-man coverage or zone. I mean, it's not like we're world beaters here and changing the way basketball is played. And I tweeted this out, and maybe you could help me, or we can get some basketball gurus too. What is the latest scheme, or from an offense and defensive perspective, that has taken the NBA by storm? Are they lining up 5 players on the perimeter to do the swinging gate? Are the first 15 plays in terms of tonight's game with Doc Rivers going to be scripted? Yeah, possession 1, Giannis, hook, just like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Number 2, we're going to have Dame time, take a 3 with the swinging gate and the screen from the power forward. Possession 3, the rope-a-dope. We're going to bounce past the Giannis. He's going to wait 2 seconds, and then all of a sudden we're going to have the power forward or winger coming in for a layup. What do these coaches do? Well, be honest with me. What do they do? Are they coming up with different schemes? Are they coming up with different defensive formations? Because there's only so much you could do from an NBA perspective. The NBA is like coaching egos. The halftime locker room speech is going to look like any given Sunday. Hey, Giannis, you got to have your head on a swivel, man. You got to pick up that robber. Here comes Ja down the lane. Hey, Dame time. You gotta have a little more edge. Use a little more follow through. Follow your shot. What do these coaches do? Tell me what they do.
You kind of almost making it sound like it's like a babysitting job. I mean, that's kind of what you're.
Tell me what plays they're
Look, Joe,
what plays are they taking the NBA? Nobody plays defense. So what do these coaches do? Pick and roll, screen, and we've seen it for the last 40 years. You
don't think that there's anything, just man or zone, just play one or the other, just go run a screen, what?
Well, what is the new formation in the league, like 5 wide, the spread? Tell me what defensive schemes that Giannis and Dame time are struggling with. Please tell me. I would like to stop making TikTok videos and get their
I will agree with you. I will agree with you on one aspect of this. Do I think it's the major sport where maybe it has the least impact on in-game? I will agree with that. Do I think that they do absolutely nothing? No, I do not think that. I think there are
they come up with in the heat of the moment, 30 seconds left in inbound. Okay, but they're not scripting plays for Giannis that we haven't seen.
You're dealing with
before.
a lot more egos. You're dealing with look, and you can't deny, Joe, some coaches are better than others. I mean, you want to have Eric Spoelstra coaching your team with what he does and what he gets out of his team every single year.
Yes, but it's managing the players. It's not the scheme or the formations.
Coast to coast. We're back after this.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Some refer to him as a game manager, Mark. I mean, throwing for over 250 yards in divisional round, 39 attempts. I don't know if that really chalks up to being a game manager. He was kind of throwing it around with 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Pretty efficient.
Whatever we saw from Jared Goff in 2 home playoff games, I would expect something dynamically different from what we're going to see from him on the road. That's just the way it's been his entire career. His home road splits have always been pretty dynamic.
Football Full Circle, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The early line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at this deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterback,
Ferrall,
backup quarterback.
coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
I have
decisions.
no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live. Prime time.
Yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was
Late
better.
Night.
We waited for a 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Did like a 2.5. Jumped on.
There's no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And we are back, Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Wednesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi, Gym Rat Joe Lisi in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. If you see Lisi at the gym anytime soon, somebody send me a picture of that. Meanwhile, Joe, I'm way off track now. Joe got me completely flustered with what he just showed me during the break, his new equipment that he brings to the gym with him. All right, Joe, before I continue on with the NBA, I got to give you an update on the Farmers out at Torrey Pines. They are off and running there. 5-way tie for first right now. You got a bunch of golfers at 5 under. Nikolai Højgaard is there. Colin Morikawa, who I'm on for the outright, along with Cam. Kevin Yu is there. Matthew Naismith. Actually, he just dropped back to 4 under. And this kid, Joe, Ryu Hizatsun, who Cam was all over this guy yesterday. I think it was 120-1. Cam was saying he's been playing great golf. This Japanese kid, Ryu Hizatsun, he's 5 under and tied for the lead as well. So a very good start for us here. Maverick McNeely's at 4 under. Keith Stewart was in on him. So we're off to a good start, albeit only a few hours in, down at Torrey Pines for the Farmers Insurance Open. Okay, Joe, a few things from last night, then we'll get to tonight's NBA games. First, the Clippers did beat the Lakers 127-116. LeBron was not there. Lakers were in it for a long time. You know what really bothered me last night, and I saw KW tweeting about this morning too, because he was up late watching the Lakers. It was a close game with 9 minutes left. AD came back in the game. It was like he didn't take another shot. I woke up this morning. He had 26 points when I went to bed. I see he still had 26 points. I guess we didn't give AD the rock down the stretch for the Lakers. They end up losing 127-116. Kawhi did have a triple-double, Joe, for the Clips, and he was taking care of business down the stretch on TNT.
Leonard. And a foul. Kawhi Leonard always has that sense. Monster defensively commits the foul.
Yeah, back and forth we go, and over the top, Kawhi Leonard, despite Reeves being in great position, still able to maneuver his way and get this 2 up.
I also had that hump Austin Reeves for 3 threes last night, Joe, and he had 2 about midway through the third quarter, and he didn't take another shot either. So I don't know who was a pig for the Lakers last night. I guess D'Lo was, but we couldn't get any of these guys home. It bothered me, Joe.
You know why? You know why they struggled down the stretch? Bad coaching. Got to get on him. He didn't dial up any plays for AD. I mean, that's what it is.
So now it's the coaching. The coaching matters. When you lose, coaching matters. When you win, the coach doesn't make a difference. That's kind of how it works. Yeah, you're unbelievable, Joe. You really are. Joe had the Nets money line last night with the Knick game over at the Barclays Center. Nets did have a lead for pretty much the entire night. Except the end of the game, when the Knicks took it from them, Julius Randle, thundering dunk on TNT with the finishing touch.
Smith on the move. Smith drives in. Scoop, no. Tipped up in the air. Johnson's got it. It's blocked by Anunoby. And Hart saves it for Randle. Up ahead. Bounce. Back for Randle. Hunter jam.
If Clyde was doing the game, Joe, you would have got the defense turns to offense there with Anunoby getting the block at the one end. Nice win for the Knicks. And they even ended up covering, Joe, with those 2 free throws at the end of the game to win by 5. So you lost it on all fronts.
I know. Randall and Brunson were both 30, and your boy DiVincenzo added 11. I mean,
he did nothing. He didn't do enough.
11 points. He's a role player, Carver. What'd you want
He's
him to
got
have?
to do more.
25?
I'll tell you, I actually wanted him to have 15, Joe. If we want to get specific about what I needed from DiVincenzo last night, it was 15. And he came back in the game with about 4 minutes to go, and I figured, all right, I can get a couple buckets here. And then he took one of the worst threes I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was like a falling away three. And Thibodeau at the next whistle was like, yeah, get on the bench. You're out. And Thibodeau took him out because he took a stupid three. Yeah.
It was bad coaching. That's exactly what
bad
happened.
Coaching. You know? Or you could say it was good coaching because he took the guy out of the game that was hacking up threes in a one-possession game. He took him out. He wanted good shots, Joe. That's what coaches do. They take guys out who aren't taking good shots. You got to take good shots down the stretch.
Well, that's what it is. They manage the lineup. They manage it. I could understand that. They manage the hot hand. They're not coming up with these, he's not coming up with a wheel route with 3 minutes left. Giannis.
Would you say that's no different than what like an MLB manager does with managing the bullpen, the hot arm in the bullpen, the hot bat off the bench?
No, a little bit more managing. Come on. I mean, baseball, you got the shift. DH, you got to put the guy in the lineup. I mean, with basketball, what are they playing? I don't know. They're playing a 2-3 zone. I don't know. They're playing man-to-man, pick and roll. What do I do? It's not like, Giannis is, I don't know what to do. I tell you what, man, they're double-teaming me. What do I do? How about the hook shot, the sky hook? Really, nobody plays defense. So half these coaches aren't coming up with a defensive scheme. What are they coming up with? Only offense. Pick and roll. Screen. Winger. Chuck a three. Layup. What are they coming up with? I can only imagine. You know what? Here's the thing. If you give me Giannis and Dame time in that Bucks lineup, I probably could go 30 and 13. No offense. It's not like they're reinventing the wheel. What are they coming up with? You know what, right?
Nuggets were down. Nuggets were down at the half in Indiana to the Pacers. A furious second half comeback led by who else, Joe? The Joker, the Dagger on Valley Sports Indiana. We even got the road
shot clock down to 7. Game clock at 10.
Well, no, Jokic is not the one you want to leave open.
Jokic for 3.
That's what I said. He is not the one you want to leave open because he's going to make the decision and or the shot. Right here, they're looking because they know what's going to see. They go to trap. But if you trap, the guy you leave open in this case is Jokic.
Yeah, you don't leave Jokic open because he finishes you, Joe. So the Nuggets take care of business there, 114-109. Joker, of course, one of the favorites for the MVP, Joe. I wanted to give you this today because Embiid, it's the same as the last couple of years, right? It's Embiid and it's Joker. It's Embiid and it's Joker. Embiid scores 70 the other night. He's the favorite again. Look out for SGA, though. Shea Gilgeous from Oklahoma City. He's there with Joe says no, doesn't have enough street cred, doesn't have a big enough name. It's Joker, it's Embiid, it's bad coaching. That's it.
Give Luka. If they could find a way to hand this to Luka, they will.
Luka's a hack. Please
I know,
stop.
But they love him. They love him.
Yeah, but here's the problem, Joe. First of all, they have the game minimum now, and Luka, he gets these stretches where he misses 3 or 4 games in a row. He beats himself up so much that he just doesn't have enough juice at the end. He's dragging himself all over the court. He can't win that MVP. Quickly, Joe, before we go to break, the Thunder beat Portland last night, 111-109. It was a bit of a shady ending. Portland actually protests the win. Tie game. Actually, they were up 1. Billups looking for a timeout. Ref ignores him. Billups goes nuts, gets ejected. They give him the free throw. SGA makes the one free throw to tie the game. Then Jalen Williams finishes them on Bally Sports Oklahoma.
Jalen Williams veers left, pulls up, looking for the lead, and he got it. Jalen Williams, 2 seconds, 111, 109.
Wow. Yeah, it was a really, really weird ending, Joe. Now, we were talking yesterday, they lost by 62 last time they were there. Much closer game last night. It was probably coaching by Chauncey Billups was the reason why the Blazers were able to stay in it as long as they did in that game. But they never overturned these protests. I never even heard one in the NBA before, but nothing will happen. But, I mean, he was looking right at the ref calling timeout when Brogdon got trapped. So awful job by the refs as always, Joe.
They'll get a letter from Madam Silver, right?
We're
screwed
sorry.
Up. Sorry.
We're sorry. We'll get it right next time. Oh, next time. Oh, okay. Coast to Coast. We're back after this.
Games of the year, Warren, on Sunday night as the Chiefs are now headed back to a 6th championship game. An extremely fun, clean game, and then the hijinks ensue.
I thought it was just irresponsible for him to take that deep shot into the end zone. I talked a lot about it on X. I thought that they should have hit that underneath route to Diggs. He was wide open. It would have been easily a first down.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Kyle Shanahan said after the game it was the same shoulder that made Deebo Samuel miss 2 games throughout this regular season in 2023.
Last time it was a scapular fracture. He missed a couple weeks. By video, we don't see that. It was the play that he got hit and had a head check. It's more believed to be a muscle injury. X-rays are proven to be negative. They're saying 50-50 right now.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a Knicks fan. I feel bad for Obi Toppin. I mean, Obi Toppin was backing up Julius Randle, and then he got his opportunity. Indiana was playing great, didn't play D, brought him off the bench, and now they got Pascal Siakam, and now he's going into a free agent year. So Obi may be looking for a new home. But I do like that fast break if it's Halliburton with Obi and Siakam.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
We'll look at the Heisman Trophy
The Early Line,
and what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterback,
Ferrall,
backup quarterback.
coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
You have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live,
Just
prime
took them
time.
yard for a grand slam.
In the bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was
Late
better.
Night.
We waited for 1.5. We got a paid
We did.
situation. Did like a 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting, ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The brighter the lights, the bigger the stakes. Hunt or be hunted. Know your prey. This is a whole new jungle. This is The Lion's Share. Brought to you by BetMGM.
And we are back for El Coast to Coast on a Wednesday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. BetMGM, they have you ready for Big Game 58. It is a couple of weeks away, of course, in Vegas. And listen to what they have for you. How about betting $5 and getting $158 instantly? What? That's right. You got to download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android, or visit BetMGM.com. Sign up and deposit at least $5 into your newly created account. This is for new customers. Place a wager in the amount of at least $5 at standard odds price. Once you've placed a bet, you will receive $158 in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome of your wager. Win or lose, and you get the $158. You got to use bonus code SG158. BetMGM getting you all set up for Big Game 58. Speaking of BetMGM, it's time for the Lion's Share, brought to you by BetMGM. And, of course, we have Davis Maddock with us every day here on Coast to Coast, Fantasy Sports Today, Saturday mornings right here on the grid. All right, Davis, we've got NBA plays for tonight. We're going to get to those in a little bit. The coaching stuff is starting to take a little bit of shape in the NFL. Now, I think that a couple of these jobs are maybe being held up because everybody's waiting for what the two giant names in the pool are going to do with Jim Harbaugh and with Bill Belichick. You know, it's weird, Davis. There was a report yesterday that, it's at the goal line. Harbaugh's going to be the Charger coach, wants to work with Herbert. They're bringing the family out there for the second meeting. Going to meet Spanos, do all this. And then there's a report this morning that Michigan's now offering to be the highest paid coach in all of college football. Then there's another report that he's going to have a second in-person interview with the Atlanta Falcons. Harbaugh's good at this stuff, Davis, and he's clearly playing the room in a couple of different directions right now, trying to, I guess, either squeeze as many dollars as he can or legitimately find what the best situation for him is.
I mean, honestly, I feel like it's probably more the latter than the former, because wherever he goes, he's going to get paid. I mean, right. It's probably a couple $1 million over 5 years, one way or the other, right? Between Atlanta, Los Angeles, Michigan, wherever he wants to go. Honestly, I feel like probably I've been saying this for most of the offseason since, offseason, we're about to be in the conference championship games. I'm already thinking about next year. I actually think if you have assurances that the front office in Atlanta has a plan to make a move for a quarterback, now that could mean Kirk Cousins, that could mean they're the team that trades up in the draft, could mean J.J. McCarthy, could mean he gets his college quarterback, J.J., just whatever it is. But if the Falcons have a plan at quarterback, that is a good freaking job because the defense, pretty good. They don't have a pass rush, but they have really good corners. Obviously, everyone knows they got Bijan, London, Pitts. The offensive line played really well last year. They just have they've had no quarterback play. They've had some of the worst quarterback play in the NFL the last 3 seasons. I think that's a pretty good job. I don't think that Chargers job is a very good job. You've got a quarterback, but you've got nothing else. You've got the most difficult division in football. You got to get 12 wins to win that division, right? That's pretty hard to do. And every contract that Tom Telesco, who funnily enough now does have a job for the Raiders, I think that is that's my number one dumbest hiring of the offseason is Telesco hired by the Raiders, I think. But they got nothing in place. They got nothing but terrible contracts. It's just up and down the roster. It's awful defensive contract, awful, Keenan Allen's getting paid $16 million coming up. It's all bad there.
It really is. And there's actually a few other reasons why the job sucks. You're right about all the things that you said. And then there's 2 or 3 other things. Number one, the owner's cheap. Yes. All right. Even though there was bad contracts, but Spanos is cheap. And 2, they have no fans. They have none. Nobody in Los Angeles cares about the Chargers. And the fans that they did have in San Diego now hate the team, most of them, because they left San Diego. So you're in a complete no man's land where when you have home games, it's 50% or more fans of the other team when you're playing. It's just all around not a great gig other than, they've got the golden boy charts and graphs quarterback that everybody loves. That's the thing that everybody just looks at, and that's probably what's going to bring Harbaugh to the table. All fine and good. The other one, the Titans hired this this Callahan guy from the Bengals. And it kind of screams to me, Davis, like, and I'm sure he did a good job with Burrow, and he was with the Raiders before that. He had a couple of stops on the train. But it just screams to me like they went the cheap route. Like they wanted to hire a coach that they knew would be in the bottom, like 5 guys in the league that they'd have to pay in head coach salary. They were paying Vrabel a lot of money. We're going to go cheap, and we're going to hope it works, and we're probably going to be in the same spot again 3 years from now, hiring another coach.
Well, yeah. So, like, the organization is kind of trying to reinvent themselves as, like, an analytics organization, which, like, works for some teams, right? I mean, worked for the Ravens. The Ravens kind of went, 6-7 years ago all in on that stuff. Obviously, it's really, really worked for them. And the Browns went that direction. Now, the Browns went that direction and then gave $260 million to Deshaun Watson. So, you give and you take when it comes to that stuff. I basically knew nothing about this guy when he got hired. So I did some research. So his dad is also named Brian Callahan and was an NFL coach for a while. And he is in sort of the Kubiak, Shanahan, morass of guys that really is all, it all comes down to, it's all Bill Walsh stuff. It's just sort of reinvented and repackaged. I mean, I can see that working in Tennessee. Like, weirdly enough, they actually, they have Chigakonkwo, they have Treylon Burks. DeAndre Hopkins is technically under contract, though I think his chances of playing for the Titans next year are pretty low. But I would love to see what Will Levis would do in, like, a little bit more of a creative, smart offensive environment. Because, like, Vrabel, that just was not Vrabel's gig. And the Titans offensive coordinator was just, like, a leftover guy from the Arthur Smith regime. What are we expecting to have happen there? I actually thought, look, I think if you gave me right now, you can have Will Levis or Bryce Young for the next 5 years. Like, I honestly saw enough from Levis. I might just take him because at least he's big and he's strong and he has that cannon. And I didn't think his decision making was that bad either. So I'm like cautiously optimistic, but I think ultimately you are right. Why they hired him is they can fire him in a year if something better comes along and not be on the hook for that much money.
Yeah, and it seems like they want to go the cheap route right now. It's kind of like they're clearing everything out. We're going to go cheap for a few years. Quickly, the last one, then we're going to get to the plays tonight. I feel like Cliff Kingsbury and Nick Sirianni would be a weird mix of offensive styles. That was kind of strange to me that they're interviewing him. Bears made more sense. They ended up going with Waldron. But Kingsbury doesn't feel like what we've seen from Sirianni the last 2 years, that would be a good fit.
No, I think of the Eagles job being like, I can't even imagine what Cliff would even do, because when he's had mobile quarterbacks, that's been his worst offenses. His best offense, even in college, was when he had freaking statues, and it was all the horizontal raid, if they did hire him, I would be surprised. I mean, good for Cliff for getting the interviews, though, I guess.
Yeah, no doubt about that. All right, let's fly through them, Davis. The lion's share, the NBA plays for tonight. We'll start in Detroit. We always love when we get two of the best teams in the NBA together, or two of the worst. The Hornets and the Pistons here. This was 3 earlier, now 2.5. The Hornets are getting in Detroit, 231.5 the total.
I mean, come on. The Detroit Pistons have won 4 games, and they are laying points. I know the Hornets are banged. Hornets are actually pretty banged up right now. They've got a couple of their starters who are out, and Cade Cunningham is supposed to be back from his injury tonight. We'll see if he is or if he is not. But I don't even really care. Just on the surface of it, a 4-win team giving points, I will be taking the points, even if it is a horrible, no good 10-win Hornets team that is getting those points.
Next, the Bucks, of course, a new era for them. Griffin out yesterday. They're going to hire Doc Rivers. He's going to be the new coach. Tonight, they have the Cavs, who completely dismantled them last week. I mean, last week they beat them by 35. 6.5 tonight, 236.5 the total.
Yep, no Giannis in that game, and basically it looked like every other player on the Bucks roster had just completely forgotten how to play basketball. They're like, what do you mean we dribble it? I don't understand the core principle of this activity, but I'll tell you one thing. These players, Carver, had to have hated Adrian Griffin. Not even normal dislike of a coach, but they basically, my guess is it's going to come out that Giannis and Dame went to either ownership or the front office and was like, look, dude, we're not doing this anymore. Did you see that the night before, Giannis was on the bench drawing up plays? He had the clipboard and he was drawing up the plays. So when that happens, you guys, I say these guys better come out and they better have some of their best games of the season, because if you get your coach fired, you got to bring it.
Give me the last two, Davis. Of course, the Mavs and the Suns get together tonight and will be emotional for the Warriors. They're back on the court for the first time in the last week since the passing of their assistant. They have the Hawks at the Chase.
Yep, we are taking the Mavericks, getting 2 points at home here to the Suns. Just consider me, I am still I am cautiously optimistic about the Phoenix Suns, but this is like a pretty good spot for the Mavs. We're almost fully healthy, and we're going to take the over in Hawks Warriors. I mean, we just continue to have, the Hawks are just this awful defense, and they're actually even a little bit banged up on the wing as well. The Warriors are not playing that good of basketball, but at least the best I can say for them is that they are rested right now. So we are going to take the over there in Hawks Warriors.
Davis, tremendous job as always. Let's cash some tickets tonight. We will see you back on Friday, of course, because it's a Warren Sharp Thursday tomorrow on Coast to Coast. We'll see you Friday before the weekend. Davis Maddock, the Lion's Share, brought to you by BetMGM. We're back after this.
The Lion's Share, presented by BetMGM.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Some refer to him as a game manager, Mark. I mean, throwing for over 250 yards in divisional round, 39 attempts. I don't know if that really chalks up to being a game manager. He was kind of throwing it around with 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Pretty efficient.
Whatever we saw from Jared Goff in 2 home playoff games, I would expect something dynamically different from what we're going to see from him on the road. That's just the way it's been his entire career. His home road splits have always been pretty dynamic.
Football Full Circle, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
Well, look at the Heisman
The early line.
and what it all means. Individual success.
He should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Ferrall,
backup quarterbacks.
coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time decisions.
no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took him
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was
Late
better.
Night.
We waited for 1.5. We got paid.
We did.
Did like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting, ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And we are back for Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. All right, Joe, we have a pretty hefty slate in the NBA tonight. Let's see if we can get any sizzle plays out of Joe here on tonight's card. We'll start with one. Me and Davis were just talking about this game. Two of the worst in the league, the Hornets, who actually are coming off a win in Minnesota the other night against the Timberwolves, into Detroit tonight to take on the Pistons. Pistons -2.5 here, Joe. 231.5 is the total. Like, that says right there how bad you are. Like, if you're the Hornets, like, imagine getting points against the Pistons. The Pistons are the absolute worst team in the NBA this year. I mean, it feels too easy, right, Joe? We got to take the Hornets, right? The Pistons suck. I mean, they never win. They don't win at home. They win on the road. They don't win anywhere. Why are they 2.5-point favorite tonight? Rozier gone? That's it? All that offense out of the Hornet lineup? Finished? Not going to score now?
Well, don't they have LaMelo playing tonight?
Sure.
Or am I wrong about? So that's not good enough? I said we should take the over. It opened last night at 231, didn't it? Or am I mistaken?
It was. You might be right about that. I'd have to
231.
I
said we should take the over.
Last night.
I think it's going to be points aplenty. You're going to have guys in there that are not used to playing. Let's get them involved. Let's just, chuck and shoot. Chuck and shoot. Follow your shot.
I'm sure this is. Yeah, you know what, Joe? Maybe I'll just play it safe with you, and we'll go with the over tonight. Like it feels like such a rat line. Like I want to take the Hornets with the 2.5. Like the Pistons suck. Like they are awful. But I think you got the right idea, Joe. Let's stick with the over. Let's go after it that way. Minnesota, who, as we just mentioned, lost at home to the Hornets the other night. That was with the Karl Anthony Towns 62-point game. And we played the clip yesterday, Joe, of Finch lighting them up afterwards to the media, basically talking about them being immature. They were too worried about giving him the ball, et cetera, et cetera. They play another bad team tonight, this time on the road in D.C. against the Wizards. Right now, Joe, T-Wolves -10.5. This was 11.5, I think, last night. 229.5 is the total here. I mean, this is like one of these crossroads, Joe. They've been so good this year. They've been one of the best teams in the Western Conference. They finally get a little bit of business and adversity from their head coach, who I know from Europe, the coach doesn't do anything. But they finally get a little bit of business from their head coach after the game. What's the response here tonight? Let's prove him wrong. Let's go out and hammer this awful team, or screw this guy. We're not gonna play well tonight. We're gonna do another dog effort against the bad team.
Now, we talked about it last night. It was 11, and we thought it through. Maybe we should take the T-Wolves, and I said no because they were mad that Karl Anthony Towns was a pig in that ballgame, shooting every time. So let's get everybody else involved. So maybe if they cover, that's great, but I think we should lean to the over in that ballgame too because Washington doesn't play any defense really. So to get over the 237.5, maybe we get everybody chucking up threes.
Very possible, Joe. Maybe we can get everybody chucking up threes tonight in that one. The Heat are at home against the Grizzlies. Heat are going to have Rozier available to them tonight after the trade yesterday. They're 10.5-point favorites here. Low total, 213.5. I don't really like laying the big numbers with the Heat, Joe, because normally, like normal Heat team, because they're so inconsistent offensively from night to night. Does that change now with Rozier there? How much burn is he getting? Is he going to get a normal amount of burn? Maybe then I'd consider it, but I think it's probably a wait and see what they look like with him out there.
I would lay it, but I tell you what this is. This is a big Jimmy B game. 30+. Now that Rozier's there, Jimmy B. I'm the alpha. I'm the alpha dog on the court, baby. We know about big game, Terry. Let me tell you, I willed this team to the Eastern Conference Championship. I willed this team to an NBA title appearance. This is all Jimmy B tonight. Alt him up. 30, 35, him.
I'm gonna lay it, Joe. Probably in game. I'm gonna wait and see how it looks, how much burn Rozier's getting, how much he's touching the rock, and then I'll probably jump in. Portland off of that close loss at Oklahoma City last night. They have a back-to-back. They're in Houston tonight against the Rockets. Rockets minus 10.5, 220.5 is the total here.
Taking the Trailblazers. I liked them last night, plus the 14.5. I thought that was a cheap line considering they lost by 62. They should have been catching 17 or 18. But I think they come back. I don't know if they win, but catching what, 8.5, 9? They should be within the number, Carver. I lean to the under.
Lean to the under, huh, Joe? I could probably get it. Yeah. You know what, Joe? I'll go with you on this under. I could see that. I could see Portland being...
Let's do that. Let's do it. Let's do over Charlotte, Detroit, over and under this game.
I think I'm with you, Joe. I'm going to go with the under here with you as well on that one. Cleveland is in Milwaukee against the Bucks. We know the deal with the Bucks. Fired Griffin yesterday. They're going to hire Doc. Doc isn't going to be on the sideline tonight, Joe. The interim coach, Joe Prunty, is going to be on the sideline for them. Doc, of course, is going to take over very, very soon. Now, last week, Joe, these two teams played. It was actually a week ago tonight, and the Cavs absolutely throttled them. It was like a 35-point loss. Giannis didn't play in the game, but still, they destroyed him. 6.5 for the Bucks tonight. 237.5 is the total. I like the over, Joe. Over 237.5.
But we talked this through. We talked about when bad teams fire their coach, you get a little mojo. This is the reverse. This is the reverse. So now they're a good team on paper that just fired their coach. Where I'm taking Donovan. Donovan Mitchell plus the 6.5. Wouldn't shock me if they win the ball game outright. This proves what you're going to do. All right, guys.
This doesn't fall under the normal parameters of you fire a coach. Team usually gets a little pep, bad team when you're losing. But it still sounds like, Joe, that these guys wanted him out. So they might be a little up because this guy's not going to be the coach anymore. So that might make a little bit of a difference.
What's Prunty doing? Prunty in the locker room. Hey, Dame time, follow your shot tonight. Make sure you work for the screens. Giannis, work it down low. Get some bounds. I mean, really. Come on.
Prunty. Prunty. What's this Prunty going to do tonight in this game?
All right, guys. Crash the boards.
Dallas and Phoenix get together in Dallas. Minus 2.5 for the Suns, Joe. Suns the road favorite. 242.5 is the total. When it comes to these two teams, we always have to check injury reports here. Luka and Kyrie are questionable, although it does seem like they're going to go. All your favorites for the Suns are available. Booker, Beal, Durant. And Durant, Joe, Durant's been very hot lately. He has really turned it up, especially the 43 the other night with the winning shot.
I can't back him tonight. I can't. I want to pull the trigger on Kyrie tonight. If he plays 30, 35 plus, he's going to break out.
He's let you down so much.
I know.
Every night he lets you down. Like, how many nights are you going to throw the dart waiting for him to get 30 or 35?
How could he start in an NBA game and have 4 points at the half almost every time? Every time I look, there's in the second. Guy's got 6 points. I don't understand how that's possible. I really don't. And Durant, you want to kibosh Durant? I'll bet him tonight. He'll go down like a dart. I think we should back this Bradley Beal tonight. He's due for a breakout. Bradley Beal.
This Bradley Beal? You want to get in on this Bradley Beal tonight? We're going to take
25? Is that asking too much? 25?
How about Grayson Allen? Why don't we go with the tertiary guys, the third level guys? Let's go with Let's go with that.
Hooked on phonics. All right, tertiary. All right, I know. I put that out there on Gambling 101. How do you get the tertiary guys? Guys, whoa, what the heck is he talking about? Role players, just say it. The third and fourth guys, sixth man. Use some of that. Bradley Beal.
The Thunder and the Spurs in San Antonio. So back-to-back for the Thunder. Spurs have been dreadful. Thunder minus 7.5. 242.5 is the total. Of course, the big billing here, Joe. Wembanyama against Chet Holmgren, the two favorites for the Rookie of the Year, squaring off tonight.
Yeah, but you know what OKC doesn't have that the Spurs do have? Do you know? Pop.
What's that, Joe?
I'm taking Pop in this spot. the pop, the coaching.
Wait a second.
Pop
Wait a
always-
second. Wait a
Pop
second.
always
Wait a second. Wait a second. I want to see if I'm following this correctly.
Pop always
You have
coaches
spent
them up.
the last hour of this show basically trying to say that coaching in the NBA doesn't matter.
Correct.
That's what you.
It
That's
doesn't.
like the
I said
stamp
it.
of this song. Like when they put the tag up for hour 2 of Coast to Coast today, like on the replays, is it like Joe thinks NBA coaches are useless? Like that is the tag.
Right.
And
I mean,
you're going to tell me, as we're about to
know.
talk about this game, that you like the
Right.
Spurs because of Pop?
Yeah, because he's like a therapist for coming to the office, Wemby. Let me tell you what we got. You see this? You got to crash the boards like a gazelle. You got to run the
I'll tell you
court
what
like
this
a
is tonight,
pterodactyl.
Joe. Do you want to know
That's you
what
gotta
this
go
is
with.
tonight?
You got a
This game,
wingspan like an eagle.
and I never
we
do
need
this.
You to glide.
I usually leave stuff like this to you, but I'm going to do it tonight. This over tonight in the Thunder and the Spurs, 242.5, is a no doubt about it. Sizzle, hammered, whatever it is, the soccer quarters, whatever it is that you want to bring out. This is the no doubt about it for tonight. We are going over 242.5, Thunder, Spurs, points aplenty all night long, Joe. Yep, that's it. I don't give you many. I said it, Joe. I'm going to say it tomorrow. I said it. I'll tell you tonight. I said it.
Chameleon Special. Act
That's
now.
it.
That's it.
Act
Peacock
now, baby.
is the promo
Go and
code.
get it.
Peacock. There you go.
Yeah, peacocking. And finally, Joe, late night in Golden State. Going to be an emotional night for the Golden State Warriors. Of course, they haven't played in the last week. The passing of their assistant coach, Dejan Milojevic. So this is tough for me, Joe. I was saying to Coach earlier, even to you last night, I said it as well. This is the kind of game from a capping perspective, I'm not involved. It's 6.5 right now for the Warriors. It's 234.5 the total. No Trae Young for Atlanta. I don't know what I could see the Warriors with a huge inspired effort and win this game by 25. I could see them still down, not ready to play yet, and lose the game outright. No, thank you, Joe. Just all the best to everybody with that organization after their loss this week. That's it.
Obviously, condolences and wish them the best. If I had to cap this game, I would go under. With Trae Young being out, no scoring potentially for Atlanta, who's going to pick up the slack, and more importantly, if Golden State does come out a little bit flat and unemotional, due to the loss of their coach, maybe we get the under.
There you go, Joe. NBA tonight, and a rare sizzle play from me over San Antonio and Oklahoma City. Stunned indeed. We'll probably even alt some guys tonight on Carver and Lisi. I mean, we're going to look at all the over.
Billy
Club special. We're going to get involved. All right, Joe, we'll do a lot of NFL in hour number 3. We got hockey and college basketball tonight as well. We'll come back. We'll finish the hour with this day in Carver High history. For Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday, Carver High and Joe for Scotty. We're back after this.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Some refer to him as a game manager, Mark. I mean, throwing for over 250 yards in divisional round, 39 attempts. I don't know if that really chalks up to being a game manager. He was kind of throwing it around with 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Pretty efficient.
Whatever we saw from Jared Goff in 2 home playoff games, I would expect something dynamically different from what we're going to see from him on the road. That's just the way it's been his entire career. His home road splits have always been pretty dynamic.
Football Full Circle, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
Well, look at the Heisman Trophy.
The early line.
And what it all means. Individual success.
You should have tried to get something for Anthony Rendon. Not bought at the deadline.
Newswire.
We're getting a lot of news, trades, cuts, and some movement in terms of starting quarterbacks,
Ferrall,
backup quarterbacks.
coast to coast.
I want to watch great players make buckets and win games.
Game time
I
decisions.
have no idea what the heck the Blazers are doing and what they
In-game live.
Just
Prime
took him
time.
yard for a grand slam.
The bottom of the 4th inning in a 12-2 baseball game. We got football scores going on at Wrigley right now.
Sports Rage
That was
Late
good betting.
Night.
We waited for a 1.5. We got paid.
We
for
did.
information. Didn't like the 2.5. Jumped on
There's
it.
no taking weeks off in golf betting ever. These are the best weeks to bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And we are back for El Coast to Coast on a Wednesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty, SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us. It is time for this day in Carver High history. About 1950 is where we're going to start today. Jackie Robinson signs the then highest contract in Dodgers history, $35,000. And then 12 years later, Joe, in 1962, Jackie Robinson is the first African-American player elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame. At least they got it right that year. 1976, in the fight of the year, George Foreman comes back to knock out Ron Lyle in the 5th round at Caesars Palace, despite being knocked down twice himself in the 4th. What a battle. 1982, the 49ers beat the Bengals 26-21, Super Bowl 16 in Detroit. Joe Montana named the MVP of that one. Joe had the over. 1986, Mike Bossy, 1,000th career point with the Islanders. 1990, Pat Riley becomes the 13th and fastest head coach to reach 500 career wins, and he does it in 133 games less than Don Nelson. 1999, David Duval becomes only the 3rd player to fire a sub-60 round on the PGA Tour. He eagled the 18th for a final round 59 to win the Bob Hope Chrysler Classic, which of course we now know last week as the Amex. 2010, Drew Brees outduels Brett Favre. Saints beat the Vikings 31-28 in overtime of the NFC Championship game. Joe was on the Vikings. 2016, Broncos stopped the Patriots' 2-point conversion attempt with 12 seconds left to win the AFC Championship 20-18 at Mile High. How about this?
But they must regroup here because one stop takes them to the Super Bowl. Here's Brady. Rolling out, rolling and throwing. It's tipped in the air, and it's intercepted. It's intercepted by Roby. He lost the football back at the 20, but it doesn't matter. It was tipped by Talib, and the Denver defense saves it at the end.
That was a hell of a game, Joe, that Bronco-Patriot game that year in 2016. All right, we got one more hour to go. For Coast to Coast on the Grid, we're back after this.